You know what's fascinating about belief systems that call themselves ancient? They all begin as philosophy and end as authority. Hinduism is perhaps the most dazzling example. A vast web of metaphysical poetry turned into an instruction manual for how billions should live, think, and even dream. It began as a conversation between seekers and forests, and somewhere along the way, it became a rulebook guarded by men in silk robes who claimed to speak for gods they couldn't prove existed. What started as curiosity hardened into caste. What was once an inquiry became inheritance. The same words that once asked, "Who am I?" now tell you what you're worth by birth. That's the first contradiction. Hinduism prides itself on its infinite tolerance, yet it built the most rigid social hierarchy in history. All souls are divine, they say, unless, of course, you were born into the wrong family, at which point divinity apparently comes with fine print. The Vedas speak of oneness, unity, and the cosmic dance of being. But the dance floor is clearly segregated. The Brahmin leads the waltz, the Shudra cleans up afterward, and everyone pretends that this division is cosmic order, not social manipulation. It's dharma, they say, as if injustice becomes noble when you give it a Sanskrit name. It's impressive, really, how easily the human mind can turn spiritual metaphors into moral justifications. Take karma, for example. What was once a poetic observation about cause and effect, your actions ripple through reality, became a bureaucratic system for blaming the poor for their poverty. If a child is born blind, it's their past life's fault. If a widow suffers, she must have earned it. It's the perfect moral insurance policy. No need for compassion when metaphysics can handle accountability. And what a convenient mechanism for power, because if you believe your suffering is your fault, you'll never rebel. You'll kneel to injustice thinking it's enlightenment. You'll call submission serenity. That's not spirituality. That's psychological conditioning wrapped in incense smoke. Now, let's talk about gods. Plural, endless, and endlessly confusing. Hinduism has millions of deities, each with divine resumes more dramatic than any Greek soap opera. Shiva destroys, Vishnu preserves, Brahma creates. An elegant trinity until you realize they also quarrel, cheat, and morph into animals for fun. These gods are reflections of human behavior magnified to cosmic scale. Lust, rage, jealousy, all the emotions we were told to transcend. What's even more ironic is how this pantheon, so rich in symbolism, somehow became literal over time. Stories meant to illuminate human nature turned into bedtime warnings. Parvati becomes a real goddess, not an archetype of devotion. Hanuman, once a symbol of courage, becomes a monkey god to be bribed with bananas. It's mythology frozen into dogma, imagination turned into ritual, dependency. But perhaps the strangest twist is how Hinduism simultaneously embraces logic and abandons it. The Upanishads ask dazzling questions about consciousness. Who is the observer? What is reality? Yet those same texts are now chanted by people who have no idea what they mean. Recitation replaced reflection. Devotion replaced doubt. The fire that once lit philosophy became a candle in a temple, flickering beside a donation box. And of course, there's the concept of moksha, liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Sounds profound, doesn't it? Until you realize it, quietly implies that life itself is something to escape from. Existence becomes a punishment, the body a burden, and the world an illusion. It's an existential irony, a religion that worships life while secretly yearning to be done with it. That longing to dissolve into Brahman, the cosmic absolute, is both poetic and disturbing. It's poetic because it captures the human desire to merge with something vast. It's disturbing because it undermines individuality, creativity, and the very act of being alive. It whispers that yourself is a mistake, and salvation means erasing it. Imagine telling a painter that enlightenment means throwing away the brush. That's not transcendence, that's annihilation disguised as bliss. The philosophical beauty of Hinduism lies in its contradictions, but its danger lies in its comfort with them. It tells you reality is illusion, Maya, and then asks you to follow endless rituals within that illusion. You're told to renounce material attachments while donating gold to temples. You're urged to overcome ego by memorizing your lineage. It's spiritual minimalism, practiced inside a palace of paradox. There's also the curious obsession with purity, of body, of caste, of ritual. The sacred and the impure are drawn like fault lines across daily life. A drop of shadow from the wrong person, a meal prepared by the wrong hands, a woman in her natural cycle, all can defile holiness. It's as if divinity is allergic to humanity. What could possibly be sacred about a God so fragile that human touch contaminates it? It's this obsession with purity that quietly shaped the Indian psyche. The idea that some are born clean and others are not. That some deserve reverence and others deserve to serve. And this wasn't just social hierarchy. It became spiritual identity. The caste system wasn't merely oppression, it was theology. Brahmin wasn't a class, it was cosmic privilege. Even in modern India, where smartphones coexist with stone idols, these ideas still breathe. You can download an app to order food, but you still have to worry whether the cook's caste might make your karma unclean. It's progress with ancient software running in the background, civilization built on superstition's operating system. And yet, here's the paradox. Hinduism also contains some of the most profound philosophical insights ever. Recorded. It asks questions Western philosophy didn't dare touch until millennia later. The concept of Atman as the eternal self, Brahman as the ultimate reality, these are staggering ideas. But when they become slogans chanted without understanding, they lose their soul. The profound becomes performative. The infinite becomes institutional. The most tragic irony, the religion that once told humanity, you are that, meaning you are divine consciousness itself, now teaches people to seek divinity everywhere, except within. It sold self-realization for temple donations. It replaced awakening with approval. The mirror of truth was traded for the comfort of tradition. Rituals are humanity's way of pretending that mystery is manageable. They give the illusion that if you say the right words, burn the right things, and bow at the right times, the universe might notice your devotion and adjust accordingly. In Hinduism, ritual became a kind of cosmic customer service. Your offering is the ticket, the god your manager, and the priest your middleman. It's not faith anymore, it's transaction wrapped in poetry. The beauty and tragedy of ritual is that it seduces reason while flattering emotion. Lighting a lamp feels pure, ringing a bell feels sacred. Pouring milk over a stone feels like participation in something vast and eternal. But beneath that charm lies the quiet absurdity. We're nourishing gods who never eat and seeking blessings from beings who never speak. When worship becomes habit, even emptiness feels holy. Idol worship, perhaps the most misunderstood and most defended of Hindu practices, embodies this tension perfectly. The defenders say it's symbolic, that the idol is a representation, not a deity itself. Fair enough. But then, look closer at what happens. The moment you kneel, chant, and offer flowers, that symbol has become a subject. You aren't contemplating meaning, you're begging for intervention. You're no longer honoring art, you're negotiating with stone. There's nothing wrong with symbols. Humans need them. We think in images. But when a symbol becomes a surrogate for thought, it turns imagination into dependency. The stone idol isn't the problem, the stone mind is. We end up bowing not to gods, but to our own unexamined longing for comfort and control. The irony deepens when you realize that ancient Hindu philosophy, the same tradition that said the divine is within you, now encourages millions to look everywhere but inward. The temple is sacred, the priest is sacred, the mantra is sacred, everything except the person repeating it. The search for truth became a scavenger hunt in the material world, and this addiction to externalized spirituality creates an economy of devotion. Temples today are not just places of worship, they are industries. There are priests who sell ceremonies like consultants sell software, tiered, priced, optimized. You can pay for prosperity, longevity, even better luck in your next life. There are gold-plated idols worth millions while children beg outside the gates. The gods, it seems, are very selective philanthropists. The logic of reincarnation keeps this machine running. It's the ultimate invisible leash. Behave now or suffer later. The brilliance of the concept lies in its perfect balance of fear and hope. Suffer quietly, and you might come back better. Rebel, and you might come back as a cockroach. It's spiritual meritocracy without evidence, an eternal leaderboard with no visible score. And what's fascinating is how this belief shapes ethics. Compassion becomes conditional because you start to believe that someone's suffering is deserved. The beggar is paying his karmic debt, so why interfere? The cow becomes holy, but the starving human doesn't. That's not morality, that's metaphysical bureaucracy. Reincarnation also dilutes the urgency of justice. Why fight for equality now if karma will sort it out later? Why confront cruelty when the universe supposedly keeps its own accounts? It's the perfect psychological tranquilizer, soothing in theory, paralyzing in practice. It teaches resignation while pretending to teach wisdom. Now, step into the modern era. Science, technology, and education have all advanced, yet the ancient logic still lingers. People consult